So the last game for the Springboks in the group stage of the Rugby World Cup is just around the corner, whereas for Tonga, they have got one more game. They are looking to cause an upset in this game where they come in as huge underdogs. The Boks making changes, Tonga doing the same. It's going to be an absolutely epic contest. And in this preview, we will be looking through at the lineups that the two sides have selected, their key players, the previous fixtures that have brought them to this point in the Rugby World Cup, and then at the end, a prediction of who we think will be walking away with the victory. But we will start with the Springboks starting lineup. Quite a few changes from what they did have in their last game, up against the Irish, going with a little bit more of an experimental side, as well as giving a few of those players a bit more time under their belt for heading to the quarterfinals. In the front row, it is Oxnashat at number 1, number 2, Dion Foree, and number 3, return from injury, it is Vincent Cox. So this will be Dion Foree's first start as a hooker. I should mention as well, no Bongion Banambi off the bench. Instead it is Mako van Staden. So heavily relying on Foree to get this game right with the lineouts. Hopefully does a decent job. In the lock and Joe, it will be Eben Etzebeth at number 4, keeping his spot in the starting side from the game up against the Irish. He's just returned from a shoulder injury, so it makes sense they're giving him a little bit more game time, build him back up towards those quarterfinals. As well as at number 5, it is Marvin Ori, a man who may not get too much time throughout the playoff games. They've decided this is a good match to give him a few minutes. In the loose forward trio, number 6, Sia Khaleesi, number 7, Dwayne Vermeulen, and number 8, Jasper Wiese. So this will be one of the first times we've seen Dwayne Vermeulen playing 7 in quite a wee while. Now, up against a side like Tonga, could prove effective. I'm wondering whether or not, if he plays well at 7, as well as Jasper Wiese playing well at 8, whether that is something they look at using throughout their playoff contest, or whether it is just the case of resting Peter Steph-Toy, as well as giving Vermeulen some minutes alongside Jasper Wiese. But looking through at the back line, it will be Kobus Reinach as the starting 9. He did score himself a hat-trick in that game up against the Romanians. Knows how to get over that try line, and will be looking to do just that here. And he has got a new 10 next to him. Well, it's a new one for this year anyway. That is Andre Pollard returning from his injury, coming into the side as an injury replacement for Malcolm Marx. So they don't quite play the same position, but Pollard at the moment, a lot of Springbok supporters hoping that he would be back at some stage throughout this Rugby World Cup. He will have the number 10 jersey, he will have the kicking tee, which I think is the biggest intrigue of Andre Pollard playing. He may not quite have that same attacking that we've seen from Mani Libok throughout 2023, but if he can get 100% of his kicks over, that is something that I'm sure they will be looking at. Number 11, it is Makazole Mapimpi. In the midfield, they have gone with Andre Esterhuizen at number 12, and number 13, Kanan Moody. So the same combo as the Springboks that have up against the Romanians. Number 14, it is once again Grant Williams. And then number 15, to close out the side, it will be Willie LaRue. We haven't actually seen that man in action too much throughout this Rugby World Cup, playing one of the earlier fixtures, and then that is about it for Willie LaRue. But that is the starting side for the Boks. Now looking through at Tonga, making a few changes themselves, one due to suspension, and also a few reshuffles along the way. For the front row, it is Sajfrav Fisiahoy at number 1. Number 2, it is Paula Naumu. And then number 3, they have gone with the captain, Ben Tamefuna. In the lock and duo, Halaleva Fafita keeps his spot at number 4, and number 5, Sam Lausi. So pretty similar to what we have seen for the Tongans in recent times. In the loose board trio, this is where we see a little bit of a change. Tangi Noa Halafanua at number 6, number 7. It is Sione Havili Talatui. A lot of people will know him from his work for the Crusaders throughout Super Rugby Pacific. And then at number 8, Samisi Paya, that is due to the suspension of Via Fafita, putting in the cheap shot on Finn Russell, got himself a red card. He will not be playing throughout the rest of this Rugby World Cup. In the back line, it is Augustine Pulu as the starting 9, with William Havili slotting in his fly half. I am still a little bit confused about that choice. I would have thought Sonatane Takalua would have been a great option for Tonga in their starting lineup here, but instead still sticking with Augustine Pulu. So hopefully does go very well. Number 11, they have gone with Anzelo Tuatavuki. Number 12, Peter Aki. And number 13, it has Malakai Fekatoa once more. Number 14, Phineas Nisi. And then number 15, to close out the side for the Tongans, it will be Charles Piutau. So those are the starting lineups. Looking through at key players for these two sides. For the Springboks, I look at that loose forward trio and I see a lot of physicality coming from those men, partnered with the fact that they've got Eben Etzebeth at number 4. But I'm going to go with Jasper Wiese in that fullback as the key player to watch out for. He plays a very physical game of rugby. At the moment, him and Vermeulen, I thought that they were fighting for the same spot, but it seems like maybe they can work together in this loose forward trio. But I believe whoever plays better out of those two will get themselves that start at number 8 in the quarterfinals, and more than likely that will be up against France as well by the looks of the table. Looking through at that backline, the key players here, I believe that midfield combination of Andre Esterhuizen and Kanan Moody will be thoroughly important throughout this contest. I'm going to say Kanan Moody as the key though, mainly because in that Romanian game, he wasn't quite able to step up to the level that a lot of people anticipated and a lot of people hoped that he would be able to. So in this game, if he can get himself a try, but more importantly, I think for his confidence, he needs to get a couple of assists, because people felt in that game up against Romania maybe looked a little bit selfish, whereas if he can get that assist here, perhaps he could do enough to get himself a starting spot, whether that's at 13 or 14 in those playoff games. For the Boks, looking through at the Tongan side, their key players in their 4-pack, looking at Tanginoa Halawhanua, who is playing number 6 for this game. He enjoys a physical outing, he enjoys getting into those breakdowns, and there's not many more physical than the Springboks when they are looking for those turnovers. So Halawhanua, he's going to have to step up big time here to be able to compete with that 4-pack. In the back line for the Fijians, I am going to go with William Havili. They might look to put him under a lot of pressure here, the young fly half, but if he can get some backline movement going, feed the ball to the likes of Malakai Fekitoa, that could be key for the Tongans as well. And then the last man, of course, Charles Piutau. We had to give him a mention. He's looked sensational throughout this Rugby World Cup. Would love nothing more than to cause the massive upset. Looking through at the previous fixtures for these two sides, the Springboks, at this stage of the Rugby World Cup, they have played 3 matches, all in the first 3 rounds of the competition. Their first game was up against Scotland. They did manage to win at 18 points to 3. The running rugby in the second half for the Boks did seem to be the more effective tactic, and then by then, they got themselves some very nice tries. In the second game, they did win at 76 points to 0 up against the Romanians. Hat-trick for Kobus Reinach, hat-trick for Makazole Mapimpi. Those two men both playing in this game. And then their most recent fixture, it was up against the Irish. A real test match feel. They were defeated 13 points to 8. But I believe that for the Springboks, that may make them even stronger as we head towards the playoff games. For the Tongans, they did have a bye in round number 1. Their first game, though, was up against Ireland. In round 2, they were defeated 59 points to 16. So not quite the start to their Rugby World Cup that they were after. They had some decent moments in that game, but discipline was certainly the thing that started to let them down. Then they played Scotland, and their last statement about discipline applies here as well. 45 points to 17, also getting that red card of Via Fafita. They have to make sure that they are a lot more patient throughout this game up against the Springboks, or else they may find themselves getting carded once more. And then they have got their game next week that they will be playing up against the Romanians. But first of all, have to get through this challenge. But now we are up to that stage of the video where we try and predict who is going to get themselves the victory. Now for me, I believe this is going to be a relatively one-sided affair. The Springboks, they are looking very strong, even though they were defeated by Ireland last week. I don't think that will dampen their spirits. I don't think that will change their tactics here. They'll be looking to get as many points as physically possible and try and look as good as they can while doing it. Andre Pollard at 10, I think will be a massive boost for them when it comes to their kicking tee. They've got Mani Libok off the bench late, so whether they want to transfer Pollard to 12 near the later stages of this game and have Mani Libok at 10, we do have to wait and see, although I have a feeling because Pollard's just back from injury, they may decide to only give him around that 50 minutes or so, and then they may take him off. But I think this game is going to be one-sided. Tonga are going to put in a little bit of fight, perhaps even get a couple of big hits in. But in the end, the Springboks, I believe they're going to win this game by quite the hefty margin. Now, my original score prediction before this Rugby World Cup in this match was 67 points to 14 in favour of the Springboks. I feel like that may not be a mile off, but I'm actually going to increase the Springboks points by an extra 10 and say that the score will be 77 points to 14 in favour of the Springboks. But I do thank you all very much for tuning into this preview. We will be live on the channel doing the commentary for the match, so be sure to check that out as well. Let me know your score predictions in the comments down below. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.